we've actually solved the burglary that way. It's a pretty useful tool.
To pay our cost, are you gonna take that out of crime, or?
We took it out of, I believe, crimes or something. The original, Chris had set this up initially, so I'm not sure exactly where it came from.
I think it came out of crimes.
It makes sense to be come out of crime. I
Yeah,
don't know where it originally came
I
out.
think it did originally.
But basically, we figured it out, with the state covering 80% and we cover 20. Basically, it's the same as what we're paying now when we get 6 additional cameras. We were actually thinking about putting one of the cameras on one of the traffic signs, the one light up, so then we could move it from place to place if we needed.
Oh.
You got my permission to put on there, Johnny would ask if you to quit running that red light.
Please stop trying to kill Johnny.
Ah, there you go, hit again like that. Well, that's a good deal. I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 1101-2023.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution 1101-2023. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I think that big sign telling them what they're running would make them not run a red light. They're watching the sign instead of. I don't know what they're doing.
Discussion and/or action regarding providing the question from the last council meeting regarding police academy certification for potential police officer recruits as presented by the city attorney, and I think we're gonna, council's going to move this to the next agenda to actually have as is that gonna be an ordinance to do that, or is that just a?
No, we're just gonna get the legal, agreement from him.
That's all we need?
That's all we
Okay,
need.
yeah.
I don't know that we need anything from the council.
No, I think we move forward with that, and there's no need for further discussion, so. Okay.
I like that.
Similar, item number 18, we're gonna pull that, there's no need to discuss. And then number 19, discussion and/or action regarding city manager updates.
Chief,
Which one?
Chief Stewart.
Get information on 18, is that something to be shared with the public, for those of us that are dealing with that?
I mean, in general, I don't think Bradley can discuss, there's not a lot of, there's not a great deal we can do on that, unfortunately.
Because I have one that has multiple rooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I will say this, I think that what we do with the short-term rentals, I think that will,
Make that a
I think that will hopefully be able to be applicable to that one.
The last officer that left,
Yes, sir.
that wasn't to get a job elsewhere making more pay.
Not currently.
No. It was an agreed,
Yes, sir.
okay. I just wanted to make the council aware of that.
Okay.
Good to know.
Yeah, good to know.
Do you have any, I know we have 3 applications, but do you want to expound on that or not?
We're still going with ACO Brody. He's passed his psych. We're keeping him physical and everything else done. Getting ready to send him to the academy. We've still got the guy from the military. He's working his way through the academy at TCC. And we currently have, I think, 2 applications that we're looking at backgrounds on them and seeing what we can do. All right, good.
Thank you.
Chief, tell Eric thank you.
Oh, yes, sir.
For helping me on getting my Nova 4 test.
Oh.
Get my computer to work right. Good deal.
Thank you.
Chief Shelley,
Yes, sir.
do you have any, thing you'd like to discuss with the council?
Don't have anything new other than we're probably about 2 weeks away from being completely done with our remodel.
And we've come in under budget for that.
We are under budget currently, yes, sir.
And got everything we wanted done for that.
We did.
Like you said, we're under budget, and he said we're under budget currently, so there's still 2 weeks to go over budget.
I'm not prepared to say all the way until we quit getting bills.
All I know is we have to be under budget.
We will be under budget.
There was about a $15,000 bill from Lone Star. Was that to hook up the electrical?
Yes, but that's all covered under the payment that we received from the city of Fort Worth. They paid for all of that. And they are still paying, and we're gonna have to go back and have them make another payment because they are delaying, their project is delayed, but we're still paying for the building every month. So we're gonna have to extend that and send us another payment because they're gonna be somewhere around September of next year before they're out of it. So, they're aware of that, there won't be an issue, it's just a matter of updating the ILA and then sending us another payment.
I'm just curious, it started because of our need, right? So this gap has been created because they drug their feet and we
Correct.
got started.
We were still out of-
Are they soured on the agreement because of that, or not?
Not at all. It is purely bureaucratic time delays on their end. Their city council agendas are very difficult to get on, and things that were supposed to be on agendas 6 months ago still haven't made it onto agendas.
But I guess my point is, had we not done this joint effort, they would have never brought it in until all that was done, right? And the clock
Correct.
started ticking.
But the value added to them, having this,
Still
having a place to
seems-
keep their truck out of the weather when they're out of their station, they recognize that
Okay.
value added. There hasn't been anything negative said to me whatsoever. I talked to their executive director a couple of weeks ago, and he said, as it gets closer to the end of the ILA, we'll update. So, yeah. But other than that, we're full staff, everything's going smoothly. The one thing I can add to what Ken shared with you guys earlier from MedStar, so, MedStar has always had 5 priorities of calls. Priority 1 being life-threatening, down to a priority 5, which was a non-emergent inter-facility transfer. Well, their new reprioritization, they now have 9 priorities. And they've broken it out a lot more distinctly what's covered under each of those priorities. We have always responded to priority 3s or higher, and we continue to respond to those. So we've seen a reduction in the number of calls that we're being called out on, but the number of non-acute calls where we were really needed in the first place, there's not been any change there. We're going to things that we should be going to, we're not going to things that we're not needed for. We don't find ourselves running those low acuity things like my arm's been hanging for 3 weeks. We don't deal with those.
The dispatcher was able to triage that, or
MedStar uses paramedic dispatchers,
Okay.
and they're folks that have worked in the field for years that are now in dispatch, and they're reading through these cards and they're going off the prompts that the caller gives them. One of the things that Ken did say that I think is really important is when you call 911, their ability to screen that call down is impacted by how well the caller can articulate what's going on. So there are inherently going to be instances in hundreds of thousands of calls in a year in the system where those kinds of things are going to be misscreened. But that was happening before. That's not a new issue because of the reprioritization that's been going on all along. That just happens. We oftentimes get dispatched to A and show up and it's B. So that's not uncommon at all. It's just one of the human flaws in the system, I guess you'd say. But we work well with MedStar. We get a lot of compliments on our fire guys and the interaction and the service that we provide before they ever get there. So we've been partnering with them now for, close to 40 years, I believe. So sneaking up there. But, yeah. Thank you.
Marvin and council, in interest of time, do anybody else have any questions over what Marvin gave us in his report?
I do, I'm sorry, y'all.
No, that's fine.
But,
More than fine.
so, I'm looking at the Tarrant Area Food Bank part,
Mhm.
and that's $250 twice a month?
Yep.
Don't they deliver twice a month?
Yes, ma'am.
So, we're talking about $6,000 a year?